G, you are making me mad. Are you with your ex? You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That'snotcool.com.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Relationships 2.0. I'm chatting with Karen Mazin Miller about her book, Mama Zen. And she's just a great resource for life. And her website is Karen Mazin, that's Maezen, Miller.com. And she posts a lot of stuff. Follow her on Twitter, like her on Facebook. She's always dispensing endless wisdom, and I rely on it tremendously.
Thank you, Michelle.
So you were saying as we were headed to break that our child's going to be okay.
Yeah, I think that probably just sums it up.
So where do we get? I mean, this is why I get so teary when I read your books, because I realize that everything is so simple and that we spend so much time and energy and a lot of, and lots of negative thoughts and emotions making things more complicated.
Yes, that's right. Well, that's simply an overactive mind. And that's really what we cultivate all the time. Whether waking in wakefulness or sleepfulness, we're just constantly activating that commentary. And it's not positive. It's not positive because of a fundamental mistake we make, which is that we are isolated and separate, and that we are not living in an interconnected world, that it is not one life. Everything causes us fear or anger. What's interesting about birth, Michelle, is that we actually physically experience this transformation. And as women giving birth, we realize, at what point does this child inside of us become a separate being? Mm-hmm. We experience it ourselves, and it's inexplicable and incomprehensible. We don't know. All of this is happening outside the bounds of our thinking mind. We don't think a child into being. We're not actually turning a lever or a switch or following a set of instructions. It all happens. But what's so interesting is at some point, if the child is delivered, now, is it really a separate being? I mean, it's stunning that we can so quickly move from that point of mind that it's one life and that we share this life, mm-hmm. to in the actual day-to-day experience, even the most innocent child or infant becomes an object of confusion, it becomes a battle.
Yeah.
And what it is a battle of, Michelle, is ego. It's not really a battle. It's just a battle of me versus you, or us versus them, which is always inherently false and delusional. But that becomes the basic ground, and we feel that there is surely a way to, plan or plot or, with some certain knowledge, this would all be something that we could get a, quote, handle on. We could be confident about the outcome. We treat our children as though they are blank slates, or maybe even what I've heard them referred to as putty, kind of like blobs, and that we are to imprint them every positive, and useful and meritorious quality and trait that they will need in order to succeed and be happy. That's an impossible job. So no wonder we feel inadequate.
Right. The other thing I was thinking about as I was reading your book is that you were incredibly successful in business.
Yes, but that's not hard to do.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people would say, oh, that's really hard to do, but it must have been like, did you have that thought like, oh, I've been killing it in the business world? Of course, juggling clients and lots of different people with lots of different difficult personalities. You've told some of those funny stories. And that this is going to be kind of a breeze. And I get to do this at home. And back when you had Georgia, and when I had my kids, they didn't have pajama jeans, but you could have just been at home in your pajama jeans, hanging out with your kid who you had like a total handle on, and you were just ruling the universe from, your Japanese 100-year-old Japanese garden.
Sure.
Did you have that?
I thought that I was good at anything I tried. And the truth is that as I mentioned in this book, I didn't realize that I limited the things I did to those very few things that I was good at.
Yeah,
I lived a life
funny.
that was entirely of my own design. Yes.
Yeah, it's so
and
easy.
So I think, particularly now, maybe this is what happens more now, that as young women first enter the workforce and they accomplish whatever degree of success or attainment, recognition that they care to have in the working world, and then step back to have a family, it may be more shocking to them than perhaps it was in the era of our mother's time, when there weren't these options, and that people were just generally speaking young mothers who perhaps hadn't really entered the workforce in a serious or career-oriented way. So maybe it was harder for us. I don't really know. I don't want to get involved in that conjecture. I think it is perfectly...
Yeah, who has it tougher, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's profoundly difficult, and in that is the opportunity for great love and wisdom. It's right there in allowing and accepting and experiencing that wide open space of not knowing.
Yeah.
Not knowing how to do it, not knowing how it's going to turn out, and trusting this process that is not conceptual. We can't think our way into it, and we certainly can't think our way out of it.
Yeah. It's funny you say, how did you say in the book that your mom said to you, something like, I have it marked in the book, but something like, yeah, I never thought that you had the temperament to be a mother, or something like that.
I'll never forget it. What she said was, and this was after my daughter was born, because it was a surprise to everyone that I would, at age 42, nearly 43, have my first child after being a career woman. But my mother said, I wasn't surprised that you never had children. I didn't think you had the temperament. And it was kind of I reeled when I heard that at the time, but it was so penetratingly true. I had a temperament solely for what I wanted when I wanted it. And in a way, that's a characteristic of very successful people. They give orders.
Kind of type A, right?
Yes. And so here's somebody who comes, and my daughter was 3 pounds when she was born. She comes into the roost, and rules it. And it's not according to any kind of plan that I could conceive or write. The marvelous thing is that every moment a child is upending your plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then what are you going to do? You might learn to roll with it. You might learn, as I say, to dance. This exquisite choreography.
Yeah.
Which is always, there's a tune that's always playing in your life, and you don't know the tune.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to follow the rhythm.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Which of course reminds me of your funny stories in there about singing too. I love that I love that you were always singing and that you were
Thank
even singing
heaven.
the books to her until she finally said, like, don't sing the words, just say the words.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, and I know, like offline we've talked about our kids a lot, but do you feel like for everyone, we end up getting exactly the child or children that we need for our life and to learn about ourselves and
Well, I think that probably goes without saying, and it's not just true about our children. I think it's every difficulty, and when I say disappointment, I mean everything that's unexpected,
yeah,
everything. Because
yeah,
we don't have, I can't even recall, there's no significance in the events, occasions, and people who do exactly what we want them to do when we want them to. I mean, it's a non-event. It's not, nobody needs help
yeah,
with the easy times, you see. There's no lesson when things are just, you know, uh, smooth as glass. No, there's
right.
nothing at all that's transformative. There's no invitation there to grow and to
Mm-hmm.
and to find
Mm-hmm.
insight
Yeah,
into
I like
yourself.
that.
Yeah, no. So everything is, and certainly children. Again, more so than anything else that we can just quit. When the job becomes something that isn't personally rewarding every day, we quit it. Or when the marriage reaches that point where nobody is really quite getting what they want when they want it, then people call it quit. We can quit everything in
Right.
life, you see. But for the most part, and I think probably 99% of the time, a parent doesn't quit parenting.
Yeah.
Not an option.
Right.
See? So you're going to go deeper. You're going to go farther. It's a really long and steep road. It's so rich. It's so rich and rewarding.
Yeah.
But it's a test.
Yeah. It's a long test too.
Yeah, a test to keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. But the reward's so huge. I mean, I just, when I try to even imagine that my life without each of my children, it's unimaginable. I mean, there would just be so much stripped of my life and what I know and what I've yet to learn.
Well, every other aspect of your life, I think for the most part, you're going to derive some benefit and a fulfillment, from it. But even as you receive it, you have a sense that it's not enough, that it's not complete enough, that it really doesn't have lasting value. But
Hmm.
I don't know that anybody would say that of their children, that they weren't worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's so funny about this, Michelle, is we talk about this as though this has just been invented, that this is the latest and greatest thing. But this is really what life is.
Yeah.
This is really that enhancement and that propagation, the continuance of life. That's all there is. That has been going on forever and will go on forever. But here each time someone tastes it, it's for the first time. And there is this, palm to the forehead. Oh my gosh. You mean this is what it's like. This is what every parent has done. This is what my mother has done and her
Yeah.
mother before. You see your place in the miracle of life.
Yeah.
And, that's really a marvelous thing to see. One, you might take yourself a little less seriously, but you also realize that you yourself are endowed with tremendous ancestral wisdom. Yeah.
Yeah. We just need like books like yours remind us to access that,
Yeah,
right?
access it, realizing that the baby will be okay and that this process is life itself. You don't have to study it. You don't need a credential. You don't. Although It's not a bad idea to take a class, particularly because it will give you people to talk to, like you and I are talking.
It'll normalize some of the experiences so you don't feel alone, right?
But, you don't need a college degree. In fact, the people who have college degrees in child rearing and early childhood development know nothing about parenthood.
Right.
You can't learn it except by doing it.
Yeah.
And then when you do it, you'll realize, that what forgiveness is, and, what hope is, what love is, what patience is. You'll learn it over and over and over again. And not because it's so easy, but because you need fresh doses of those, virtues over and over and over again, and you'll get them.
Because we forget, right? Or we don't get the lesson the first, second, 50th, 80th time, right?
Yeah. Every time it comes at us, it's like it's just another, high-speed train, And maybe there'll be some times that you can be confronted with disappointment or, shock or, whatever happens. Maybe there's some times when you will have the presence of mind to just tiptoe out of the way, so that there's not so much collateral damage. Maybe you won't raise your voice. Maybe you won't have a fight. Maybe you won't give up. Maybe you'll stick with, maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's
but certainly
great.
have no expectation of turning yourself into a, quote, good parent.
Right. We're going to take another short break, and we will be right back to discuss more about your fabulous book, Mama Zen. Where's number 4, Mason? The publisher's calling. It's time for you to write another book.
Now I know what you're talking about.
Your manager needs to talk to you. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Michelle Skeen, psychologist, author, and host of Relationships 2.0. On my radio show, I interview guests who present their unique perspectives and expertise on topics that cover all aspects of relationship. If you want to improve your relationship, and let's face it, we all have room for improvement, tune in to Relationships 2.0 with Dr. Michelle Skeen. If you miss my show or you're interested in listening to past podcasts, you can go to my website, www.michelleskeen.com. Again, www.michelleskeen.com. Tune in and improve your relationships.
Hey, what's up? Thinking about you. XOXOXO. Want to snuggle. ... JK. Hit me back. You getting these texts? ? We should hang later. I miss you. Holla at your boy. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you at home? Where are you? What are you doing? OMG. You are making me mad. Are you with your ex? You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That'snotcool.com.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
There are kids in this country who didn't have a parent at their baseball games or recitals because their parents were serving in faraway places. But now they're coming home, and Wounded Warrior Project assists them through the Warriors to Work program.
My mom used to be a tank programmer. Now she works with computers. I'm really glad she's home because I can't eat my dad's marshmallow macaroni anymore.
To support the Warriors to Work program, contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
Welcome back. to Relationships 2.0. I'm chatting with Karen Mazen Miller. Again, her website is Karen Mazen, Mazen Miller.com. Also, feel free to go to my website, michelleskeen.com, and there's lots of she's on there frequently. I just wrote a long post about you that's going to be going up. Just about, how you already know this, so it'll bore you to read it, but just how important you are to me, and just your incredible contributions to so many people. And it's been really amazing to go meditate with you in different locations and see the transformation in people. That last retreat in Hartford at Copper Beach was amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah. Now, we talk about unconditional love or unconditioned love. That space that it's actually always present between people, the space between people, you see, before you fill that peaceful, harmonic, that the quiet, silent, still space that is present. You might say, if you just kind of think outside your skull, the world you inhabit has this characteristic of love.
Yeah.
It is love. When we sit in silent meditation as a group, we all come together in that space. So it is no accident. It's nothing that anyone adds to the environment, that feeling of non-judgmental acceptance, love, mutual respect. It's just a powerful power. It's like plowing a field that is so fertile for growth and beauty to emerge. That's what happens when you sit in silent meditation with a group. Now, you may not think that you're being silent because your head is going rat, tat, 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 and you're very occupied and preoccupied with your own self-critical commentary, but gradually the comments, just diminish and you grow quiet, and then you just realize you're sitting in like this ocean of love and compassion. Well, we never really leave that space, but we do have to practice in order to open it up between us. And that truly is the space that we share all the time in all of our relationships and our family relationships. We just have to learn not to muddy that water, disturb that water, upset that water, and then the harmony prevails in that. It's a very nurturing environment. It's kind of shocking that we are always thinking, and particularly with small children, what am I supposed to do with them, and what am I supposed to teach them, and how do I turn them into something? And what we bring,
I love all of your descriptions of that in the book. It's just it's so true.
Yeah. We're very heavy-handed, with it, kind of stomp all over the place. And then when we can pull back, the child is really always becoming exactly who they are. Always revealing their own potential, in the moment. Yeah. So it's not
I'm sure you notice this with your daughter, but, with each of my children, where they are now, and, Kelly just turned 19 and Jake and Eric are 23 today. I think back and, look at pictures and remember when they were really little, they're adult versions of who they were.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything, like we didn't do anything. The parenting, it seems, didn't change it. Like that's who they were. We were getting in their way, if anything, right?
Yes, so true. Yes. So from the other side, from the position you're at now, you can tell a young mother, a young couple, don't worry, there's nothing for you to do. Just allow it to unfold. And they're like, yeah, right. I mean, you weren't here at 2 a.m. this morning, or something like that. But but nonetheless, it's happening. Nonetheless, it's happening. So, of course, it's find the support that you need as young parents or new parents or old parents. Find the support you need to trust yourself.
Yeah.
If you trust yourself, you will trust your child. And what I always say is when people, when I hear how self-critical we are at judging ourselves as parents, my heart breaks. Because if you judge yourself to be an inadequate parent, what you're essentially doing is judging your child to be an inadequate child.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I think it, well, it didn't happen at Black Scorpion, but at Hazy Moon and at Copper Beach, there were young mothers in both of those groups. And when you go around and have everyone kind of share about their experience afterwards, I was so touched by how profound the experience was for them because they had been so hard on themselves, and they were in so much pain. And so I imagine, I mean, that was just a little bit of me witnessing the way that you transformed, you know, their experiences. I'm sure you must get so many emails and comments from readers on this book who really feel like you've given them a huge gift with this book.
Well, it's always a surprise, and at the same time, it's not a surprise because getting back to where we started in this conversation, that's what I was looking for, a voice that would give me permission, you know, to feel the way I felt and, you know, doubt myself and wonder, and yet reassure me that it was all going to be okay. And oddly enough, Michelle, you know, I've come to realize that perhaps that was the voice of my own mother writing, you know, the words that I needed to hear at that time and still today. You know, we might say that there is, you know, the eternal mother or the great mother that is really always offering us that good tiding and the blessing and the benediction that says, you know, you are doing beautifully. Yeah. And, you know, it will all be okay. Just keep going.
You know, it's hard to, I remember it just being hard, especially once they start getting into preschool or maybe even, you know, those groups that happen before then, you know, in certain communities, at least, you know, where we were raising our kids, it just constantly felt like a race. Like, it's so funny that now we can laugh about, I mean, you know, the kids are laughing too, like what they were in, like special, like a Spanish class at 2 years old with the other 2 years, just crazy stuff.
It's still crazy
stuff.
I think, Michelle, it might even be.
I was in a children's book group because, you know, you of course have to be aware of the best children's books that are out there so that you can give your children I mean, it was crazy. And of course, the funny thing is, like, there's so much of it. The boys kind of laugh because, you know, they were on, well, all the kids were on some trips that were fabulous trips when they were really little. They don't remember. They're like, wow, wish you were taking us now. Like, what a waste, right?
Yeah, we tell ourselves that we are trying to enrich their lives and give them, you know, advantages and opportunities, but we have to at some point turn around and say, what is my level of expectation for this child? What will I be satisfied with? How powerful, rich, you know, successful, rewarded, you know, when would I be satisfied? And that's a good question, because if we can't be, quote, satisfied with our children where they are as they are, we will never be satisfied. And we've all, for the most part, at some point, we're going to, you know, take a look at where we are on the hamster wheel and realize for ourselves that that level of competition is killing that it's destructive.
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
I mean,
and it
the girlfriend who I was referring to earlier about going to the concert with, who I run with, her middle child and my sons we've known each other since they started preschool together. And we talk about ourselves in the days of having little children. And I honestly think that I was temporarily insane. I really do.
Of course we were. Yeah.
I couldn't believe the stuff I obsessed over.
Yes. Yes.
Really crazy.
Yeah. And so
really
now
crazy.
What we do with that is realize it, forgive ourselves, apologize if we need to, and then bring great compassion and reassurance to every, young parent or new parent. Everything we see now, we have to see ourselves in the race and the chase, see ourselves and step back and offer where we can that clear, open space of acceptance for everyone, the children, the parents.
I agree. I feel like, my perspective was, I wish I'd had this knowledge from you. I feel like my perspective, even though it wasn't happening from my viewpoint, I was constantly being judged. And not in a positive way. It just it felt like I was under this microscope that was really unflattering. So it's a distraction from keeping your focus on what's important.
Sure, but now I can tell you, 23 years later.
Yeah.
Your babies are okay.
Yeah. That's the thing that's so amazing is that, people ask me, oh, would you go back and do it all over again? And I say, absolutely not. I have 3 happy children who survived those years and are happy with their lives right now. That to me is huge.
It's priceless. Yeah. And that's why the last words in this book are, may we all live happily ever after. It's not a fairy tale, That's really what we want and wish for, and it's not a myth. We can do that, and we can do that right now.
Yeah. Start over right now.
Yes. It's never too late to be a new mother.
Yeah. Yeah. There were so many great descriptions and images in the book, but I loved the way that you contrasted your approach to the day or a mother's approach to the day versus the child's approach to the day. They wake up, they're excited. They're not waking up thinking, oh, I have all this stuff. I have 6 loads of laundry I have to do. I have, they're excited. It's a new day.
Unburdened.
Unburdened.
Until we burden them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're unburdened. They're amazed. They love you. They're happy. They sing.
Yeah.
They run. They exhibit all of these behaviors of enlightened beings.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So there we have it. Great teachers. We're surrounded.
Yeah. What are one of the things I wanted to tell you, we're almost out of time, but I got to this part in the book where you talk about how you were you're at in the kitchen at the kitchen table with your husband, and George is on your lap, and he sets his cup down and gets up, and you are so alarmed, and you ask him where he's going, and I burst out laughing because I was just talking to this friend of mine who's a mom of her twins are 6 years old now, and I always get nervous when someone says, oh, I'll never forget when you told me. And then I just wait. I kind of brace myself for, what did I say? It's probably, I hope I don't regret that I said it or whatever. And she said, I'll never forget you saying when my twins were newborns that, your husband would get up when your husband would get up to go somewhere, you'd scream out, like, where are you going? And he'd say, I'm going to the bathroom. You'd be like, oh, okay, well, don't be gone long. Hurry up.
Exactly.
So I love that we have that shared experience of the panic.
Well, I think we have all of our experiences are shared. All of our experiences. We feel inadequate. We feel ensnared and entrapped, We feel giddy, as parents, and we're in love in some sense.
So in love.
Yeah.
When my kids were born, I kept a journal and wrote about because I didn't want to forget about those early feelings that I had, although I never could. I didn't know that now, but that I just wanted to feel that way for the rest of my life every day. And I mean, to some extent I do, but that first time that you hold your child and you realize that you're together forever, it's just such an amazing feeling. And it's worth it all. Yeah. And I just so value you and your deep wisdom and insight, and that you're such an incredible writer that you can share all of these experiences that everyone can attach to and really bring meaning to and change to their lives where they need to.
Well, all feelings are mutual. So I feel all of that for you.
I can't wait to see you. I've missed you. I'm so looking forward to
that will be soon.
Our week together. I love you, Mason. Thank you so for much. Joining me.
I love you.
You've
Happy
been
birthday.
listening to... Okay, sweetheart. You've been listening to Relationships 2.0. Go buy Mama Zen. It's a great book. And all of her other books. She's been on the show. She'll be back. But the podcasts are on my website. Have a great week. Be well.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 a.m., the station that leaves no listener behind.
I'm Tom Busby, CNBC Radio. Dangerous artery-clogging trans fats are found in microwave popcorn, frozen pie crust, and cake frosting. But the Obama administration says the artificial fats are a public health threat. So the FDA is ordering food makers to phase them out over the next 3 years. On Wall Street today, the Dow up 113, the Nasdaq up 25 as a number of big healthcare insurers are reportedly in talks to merge. Mixed earnings out after the bell. Software maker Adobe Systems topping Wall Street estimates, but furniture maker Lazy Boy missing forecasts. Discover, best known for its credit card, says it's exiting the home mortgage business, and it'll lay off nearly 500 workers. And Etsy, the online craft selling website, now testing a program that will allow sellers to crowdfund on the site, raising money to buy new equipment, cover material costs, or hire new workers, or anything else they need. I'm Tom Busby, CNBC.
Looking for a reliable used vehicle for your teenager? All Honda certified pre-owned vehicles undergo a thorough multi-point inspection by a Honda trained technician to meet Honda certified standards. And the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety named 4 Honda certified